Better save your energy, Boone. You're going to need it.
Hear my calling, wheel my wagon and leave, falling fleece. Colorado, Ridgeway Road, you see my valley of dreams. Mama's gone now, all we have is our hearts and eyes. The hills are starving.
We had these woods selectively cut probably close to 10 years ago. And we're starting to get some bigger trees come back now. Alright, this is where we did the selective cut years ago. You talk about a dream deer bedding area. You know, I always get nervous when I'm walking through stuff like this. Years ago, my dad told me the story of a coon hunter that was walking through with his dogs through an area similar to this. And the first 3 dogs made it through, but the last one got copperhead. We have copperhead snakes in our area, so they're pretty venomous. Now I want you to look at here. Just came across a wild black raspberry vine. Raspberries come in considerably earlier than blackberries do, and I like them a lot better. They're not nearly so tart, but they're not as common in our area as the wild blackberry. Alright, just came across this. This is a pignut hickory. It's out of the hickory family. It's kind of like a hickory nut, only it's softer, a little bit softer. Deer like it if they don't have acorns. We've already got them starting to drop here a little bit. Might be just part of the natural thinning process, but that's what that is. More than likely, that's the tree. 90% of the fence that I'm going to be walking through today is in the woods, and I'm going to put a few head of cattle in here. And our rule of thumb is if you have 3 good strands of barbed wire, that will usually turn cattle back, as long as they have something to eat. So this is a little bit loose, but it's good enough. We're not going to try to have a perfect fence in here. So this is just an example of what a lot of the fence is like in our woods. Rumor has it when my grandpa was 18 years old, they had orchards on the ridge here behind me, up this road. And my grandpa, it was said, could bring a bushel basket of apples off of that ridge all the way down this road, down into the valley, and then run back with 2 empty baskets. I'm going to tell you, you've got to be in some really good shape to be able to do that. I'm winded just to walk to the top of this. Here's something really interesting I definitely want to show you. This is an old beech tree. And beech trees are pretty common in our area. The wood is just as hard as flint. Kind of slow growers, but a lot of people would use them to put their initials in and date. And this one in particular has the initials EL 1853. You can kind of just barely read it there. To the best of my knowledge, that is Enoch Langdon. And the Langdons owned our farm for nearly 100 years before we bought the farm in 1903. If you catch this at the right time, this is a waterfall. After a heavy rain, it's a really beautiful sight. My brothers and I have spent a lot of time in this little hollow right here. But we have rock cliffs that line this hill around through here, and we like to keep a little bit of a fence. Even though it's so steep, we like to keep a couple strands because we've had cattle to go up the few paths that there are, and we've had them to fall off these cliffs. We've lost a few that way, so that's something you got to really watch out for. Okay guys, this is worthy of explaining right here. This is a new thing for our area, and it is very invasive. We are just seeing it everywhere, and anywhere that we have sprayed the brush, we've always had trouble with multiflora rose bushes. It's a wild rose. Anywhere that we've sprayed those rose bushes, it seems as if this little booger is coming up right in the middle of those. And it's very, very difficult to kill. Our broadleaf sprays that we use doesn't seem to get it. In the fall, they have a little red berry. You can see them getting started right there. And the birds spread them. They eat them and spread them around. So this is a problem that we're going to have for probably forever, as long as I'm around, because they're in the woods, they're in the pastures, they're everywhere, and they don't have thorns, but they're very, very tough. Nothing wants to eat them. Okay, this is what I was talking about with the multiflora rose bushes. This is a small one here in the woods. They were brought into our area to be used as a natural fencing because they have some terrible, let me see if I can get that focused in here, terrible little thorns on them. They'll just eat you up. And they didn't think they would spread because they have to be heated to germinate. So the story went, but they never thought about the birds spreading them, and they've spread all over this country here where I live. And they have been a mess, and farmers have been fighting these for generations. They have since gotten a disease called the rose-rosettes disease, and it has really helped in the fight. It's killed several of them, so they're not quite the problem they used to be in our area. But they have been a beast for years, and those things will get 15, 20 feet high, and nothing will eat those except the deer will eat the tender parts. Cattle will kind of pick around at the tops of them. I guess goats would probably work on them pretty good, but we just have cattle, so. Here's a good example of the rock cliffs that circle this hollow all the way around it. So a lot of this we don't have to fence because of this. Some of them are as much as probably 40 feet high. How I survived these rock cliffs as a child, I couldn't tell you. Man, I've done some stupid things on them rocks. Well guys, this just made the trip. As I was walking down the road, kind of heading for home, laying in the road, was a broken arrowhead. Now that there is just, couldn't make me any happier. Broken her hole. You know, I've got to wonder what the history was behind that arrowhead. That's unbelievable. We find them a lot. That's not a perfect one, but I can guarantee you that one's going home with me. I wouldn't take a $100 bill for that broken arrowhead. Priceless. We come across a few horses that my mom boards. They're in the pasture already, but horses aren't the best for being pasturing animals. They kind of eat the best of the best and leave the rest. So that's the reason we're wanting to put a few cows in here. Try to knock down some of that other stuff. All right, guys, we've been over the fence and didn't have but just a little bit of work to do. It was in really good shape. I got that fence in good shape last fall, and luckily it stayed that way through the winter. So way down there is home, and that's where me and Boone are headed. All right, thank you guys for coming along. It's hot, we're tired, we're ready to get back home. Pretty successful trip. Catch up with you on the next video.
Death has found me. I'm all alone in this sea. Covers my dreams. The same society took my baby from me a long time.
Little blackberry. Can't resist that.
Now where will I go?
Not bad.